Hi everybody, welcome to our first unit this year in Masechet Brachot. Just like with every unit, we will hopefully begin with an introductory video. This is the video for, again, Unit 1 of Masechet Brachot. We will be beginning with the second Perek, Perek Sheni, and that can be found on Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, otherwise known as 13a if you have in English Gemara. Okay, so let's just zoom in a little to get a better picture of what we're going to be learning, the sugya we're going to be learning. So again, this is the beginning of the second parak, and what you'll notice here is that right here begins a Mishnah. Hayak Hareba Torah is the beginning of a Mishnah. The reason is because Gemara is a commentary on the Mishnah, and it's also organized in that way. So it's every parak starts with the Mishnah, and then the Gemara commentary comes right afterwards. So that's the beginning of the Mishnah, Hayak Hareba Torah, and you should mark it off. The Mishnah goes down until Ela Bayom Bilvad, and then the Gemara itself is going to pick up over here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at just the first line or two of the Mishnah, and then we're going to see this short piece of Gemara right over here, which begins Gimel Mem, and it goes just to the two dots, a quick two-line Gemara. Please mark this off on your Gemara or on the photocopy page that you have. What we are not going to be doing in the sugya is reading the entire Mishnah from beginning, Hayak Hareba Torah, all the way till the end. And the reason for that is that each piece of Gemara, each sugya of Gemara, which comments on the Mishnah, doesn't comment on the entire Mishnah at once. As we pointed out in class, the Mishnah is just a list of many halachot. So the Gemara takes one halach at a time. So all we're going to do is take a look at the first line of the Mishnah, because that is what the first sugya, the first line or two of the Gemara we're going to see comments on. So let's just quickly highlight the line from the Mishnah that we're going to be learning. Hayak Hareba Torah v'higiyazman mekra im kivein libo yatsa. That is the entire first line of the Mishnah that our Gemara is going to be commenting on. And then let's underline our Gemara. Let's highlight our Gemara itself. It's not that long, so you might as well. Shema minam etzatz v'chakavana ma'im kivein libo lekra v'hakakari b'choria lahageya. So that is the text of the Mishnah and the Gemara we are going to learn. Before we learn the Gemara and the Mishnah and the Gemara itself, we first have to learn a couple of concepts that without them we're not going to be able to understand the Gemara and Mishnah fully. So let's do that. The first concept to be aware of is the concept called kavana. Another definition for kavana could be intent or concentration. Kavana refers to a mental state where you are focused on doing an act in a specific way. So, for example, there are two ways that I could fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah on Pesach. I could take the matzah and put it in my mouth without realizing what I'm doing, or just eating it because it tastes good. Or, on the other hand, I could think before or while I'm eating the matzah, the reason I'm eating this matzah is because I want to fulfill the mitzvah of achilat matzah, of eating matzah on Pesach. In the first situation, there was no intent. In the second situation, there was kavana, there was specific intent, because I was focused, my mind was focused on doing this mitzvah for a specific purpose. You hear the word kavanah when it comes to tefillah as well. Someone who concentrates well during tefillah, it's known as kavanah. It's focus. It's having specific things in mind. So when we talk about kavanah with mitzvot, the question is, am I intending to do this for the sake of the mitzvah or not? Do I have kavanah for the mitzvah? And when it comes to the performance of mitzvot, there are two opinions about what happens if you do a mitzvah, but you don't have kavanah. I don't have specific intent to fulfill the mitzvah. I ate matzah just because I was hungry. It happened to be Pesach, it happened to be Seder night, but I ate matzah just because I was hungry. When I picked up a lulav and etrog, I was picking up a lulav and etrog to see, just what it would feel like when I held it in my hand, to see how much it weighs. I didn't have intention to fulfill the mitzvah, or I was picking up just to look at it. I didn't have intention to fulfill the mitzvah. I did not have kavanah, there was no intent. Did I fulfill the mitzvah, or did I not fulfill the mitzvah? So there are two opinions about it. One opinion is that mitzvot tzrichot kavanah. Mitzvot require kavanah. And therefore, if I did not have kavanah, I am not yotze. I did not fulfill the mitzvah of lulav. I did not fulfill the mitzvah of matzah because I did not have intent to fulfill it for the sake of the mitzvah. The second opinion says mitzvot einan tzrichat kavanah. Mitzvot do not require kavanah, and therefore, as long as I did the act of the physical act of eating the matzah, of lifting up the lulav, then I am yotze. I fulfilled the mitzvah of whatever mitzvah that might be. So just to repeat those two opinions, those two phrases over again. So the first opinion is that mitzvot require kavanah. Mitzvot tzrichot kavanah. Mitzvot require kavanah. Kavanah is needed. There's your word tzrichot from the word tzarich, to need. The other opinion is mitzvot, there's the key word einan tzrichot kavanah. Do not require kavanah. Kavanah is not needed. And there's your word einan, the word for not, ein. They do not require kavanah. So again, according to this first opinion, a mitzvah tzrichot kavanah, if I do a mitzvah without intent to fulfill the mitzvah, just to do the action, you did not fulfill the mitzvah. And according to the second opinion, as long as you do the act itself, you fulfill the mitzvah, you do not have to do it again. So now we are ready to understand our Mishnah and Gemara properly. We're going to look at the Mishnah first, and then we'll do the Gemara in class. So let's just look at the line from the Mishnah. The Mishnah says the following. Haya korei ba'Torah. If somebody was reading from the Torah, they were reading the parsha of Kriyat Shema in the Torah itself, from Sefer Dvarim. And what happened? V'higia zman hamikra, and the time to read Kriyat Shema, the time for the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema came along. So they were reading from the Torah, they were learning the parsha of Shema in Dvarim, they were saying the words, but they were not trying to fulfill the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. They were just reading, they were just learning. But what happened? Higia zman hamikra, the time came. So it's almost like you're sitting, eating matzah on Erev Pesach, or right before the Seder, and all of a sudden, Seder time comes, and it's Pesach now. So did I fulfill the mitzvah? I was picking up, I had a lulav in my hand, I'm holding it, I'm shaking it back and forth, it's not Sukkot yet. All of a sudden, Sukkot comes, right? It's time to fulfill the mitzvah of Sukkot, right? It becomes daytime, daybreak. Did I fulfill the mitzvah if all I was doing was if I was just holding it in my hand, I was moving it around? So what does the Mishnah tell us? Im kivein libo, if this person who was reading had kavana in his heart, had intent to fulfill the mitzvah, then yatsa, they fulfilled their mitzvah. So the question is, what does this tell us about mitzvot? Do mitzvot require kavana or do they not? So at face value, this seems to imply that mitzvot do require kavana, because very simply, what does it say? Im kivein libo yatsa. If he had intention, this person had intention to fulfill the mitzvah. They had intent in their heart. That's just the way they say it. If this person had intention, then yatsa, they fulfilled it. What does that imply? If they did not have intent, they were just reading from the Torah for the sake of reading, they did not fulfill the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. So the question we're going to have to ask ourselves is, what about the opinion that mitzvot don't require kavanah? If there really is a serious opinion that you do not require kavanah to fulfill the mitzvah, why does our Mishnah say that you only fulfill the mitzvah if the person had kavanah in their heart? If mitzvot don't require kavanah, they only require the act of whatever the mitzvah is. So in this case, the person did the act. They were reading from the Torah, they were reading the words of Kriyat Shema, and it was the time for Kriyat Shema, so they should have fulfilled the mitzvah. How are you going to read this Mishnah if you are of the opinion that mitzvot don't require kavanah? That's what this line and a half of the Gemara is going to discuss. So let's open up our Gemarot and let's get started.